Welcome to Sewing Anastasia, and today I'm going to teach you how to sew by hand. This is a very useful skill if you don't have a sewing machine available. If you're out traveling, something rips, it tears, you will know how to fix it super fast. You only need two things to sew a seam. You're going to need a needle and some thread. The first thing we're going to do is cut some thread. So cut some thread off your spool and let's get started. Now that I have my thread cut, let's go ahead and thread the needle. So threading the needle can be tricky, but just make sure you have a clean, sharp edge. So go ahead, cut it with the scissors, and make sure it's nice and clean. Let's go ahead and thread the needle. And I want you to make sure your thread is even. So now I'm going to have 2 thread tails. Now we're gonna make the knot for the end of our thread. Now this is one of the coolest tricks I have ever learned. So you're gonna hold both of the tails of the thread in your fingers and you're going to put them towards the back of your needle, and I want you to grab it with your finger back here. So now you've kind of got this loop of thread happening. And now I want you to wrap this around 3 or 4 times, and you're gonna pull it under your thumb. Hold it under your thumb, nice and tight. Pull the end of your needle, and I want you to pull this knot all the way down your thread until it gets to the very end, and you're gonna have a knot. Brilliant! So now that our needle and thread is prepped, we are ready to start sewing. So I have 2 pieces of fabric pinned together, and for this demonstration, I'm going to sew from the orange pin to the black pin. The first thing I'm going to do is start from the back and push my needle through. My knot is going to catch my thread, so it's not going to pull all the way through. I'm going to make my stitches about 1/4 inch long, so I'm going to go ahead and put my needle in about 1/4 inch over. Push your needle through to the back, pull it so it's not tight and pulling. You don't want it to like gather your fabric, but so that it's nice and flat. Now we're going to flip it over, and I'm going to go over another 1/4 inch. And you can see that. So now if I come back up on the other side, I've got a gap between where my thread is and where my last stitch was. So now I want to go back right where that last stitch was. And now you can see we're forming a line on the front of the fabric, and we want to do the same thing on the back. So now I'm going to go back over 1/4 inch, and we basically have to fill in this gap, and we're gonna go down and through the fabric. And then we're gonna come back and go over 1/4 inch from where the last one is. I'm going to flip it over. So you're also going to almost skip this stitch and go over the 1/4 inch. So your stitch on the back essentially is 1/2 inch. So basically you're going to keep repeating this pattern until you've sewn your seam. And, well, that's how you hand sew. I'm gonna put my last stitch in, going up to the top, and now I'm gonna put one more stitch going down and put a knot on the back. So front to back, I'm on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit of fabric, and I wanna put my needle through this loop and pull. Don't pull too tight, and I like to do 2 knots. So let's go ahead. Put our needle through that loop and pull, and now you can go ahead and cut off close to the knot, and you have yourself a seam. We finished our seam and it's looking amazing. We have a nice flat even seam on the outside and we have our seam allowance on the inside. So if you follow those steps, you should be able to create a seam by hand. Thanks so much for watching Sew Anastasia today. I hope you had fun learning how to hand sew. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And as always, have fun sewing! Want to know what's going on in my world? Follow me on social media. Check me out on Instagram at sewanastasia.com for sewing adventures and Anastasia Chatzka for everything fashion related. If you're in Chicago, be sure to check out my sewing classes and come join me in my studio Sunday, Monday, or Wednesday. And if you're in the shopping mood, pop by my boutique and try on my new collection. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!